Welcome to the BISP 2024 to 2025 podcast. We are your new co-hosts. I'm Vanshika Dimri, and I'm in year 13.
My name is Paige and I'm also in year 13.
So we're both new students, and we're really excited to take over the podcast from Phoebe. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing things we wish we knew before we started the IB diploma over here. And we're just going to talk about ourselves, and so our viewers can get to know us.
To get started, Vanshika, would you like to explain why you decided to join BISP and how that process was for you?
Yeah, so I was looking for boarding schools that I could apply to in Asia. I applied to a couple schools in the region, and when I got into BIS, I was really, really excited. I joined the school as an academic scholar. Yeah.
And how was the academic scholar process for you? How did you find it?
I think it was a really, really unique application process. Obviously, there were standard essays and there were reports and grades that I had to submit. But other than that, I really enjoyed being able to tell my story and why I was interested in coming here, why I wanted to come to Phuket. And then I had an interview with some teachers at the school where I got to know them on a more personal level. They got to ask me about myself. I got to know more about the school. And I think after I got my acceptance email, I was very sure that I would come here. And I think it was a great decision.
That's wonderful. And what would you say to people looking to apply as an academic scholar next year? Any advice for that process?
Yeah, I think definitely be as honest and as open you can be in your interview and in your essays. I think it's really important, other than grades, who you are as a person. And I really think that at BIS, your character is something that they really look forward to. They want to get to know you. So the more you communicate and show yourself is very important for the school. So Paige, why did you come to Thailand? Why did you join BIS?
Honestly, I used to go to school in Thailand, and I always found, firstly, the culture and the experience is just really amazing. I really find that it's a really cultural place. I was actually homeschooled before I came here, and I found that the transition from homeschooling to BISP was a lot better than I expected it to be. I found that it was a very comfortable school environment, and I'm really glad that I came here.
I agree. When I first came to school, even on my first day, it was really easy to speak to everyone, because you're not the only new student. I think in our year last year, we had around 20 new students come in, and I'm also a full-time boarder. So I got to meet a lot of people that were going to be in my year even before I started school. I think that really helped the process because I had someone to come to school with, someone to sit with at lunch. I think it was really helpful being in boarding.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the environment, especially the community that is kind of built amongst year groups and form groups and classes, it really creates a family type of environment within the school.
Yeah, I agree. So we're both studying the IB diploma. The school also offers BTEC, but we both chosen to do the IB. So what subjects are you taking?
For my higher level subjects, I'm taking psychology, English, and business. And for my standard level subjects, I'm taking French AB Initio, math applications and interpretations, and environmental systems and societies. How about you, Vanshika?
I am taking HL Biochemistry English and standard Math AA, Spanish Ab Initio, and psychology. So, Paige, do you want to tell me a little bit about why you chose your subjects? And is there any advice you'd give to people that are going to be starting the IB soon and on how to pick their subjects?
Definitely. So I chose HL psychology as I want to be a psychologist in the future. And I definitely think that BISP has helped curate the specialization that I want to go into. I personally want to go into developmental psychology, and I've found so many opportunities and possibilities to develop my skills that will benefit me in that career. How about you? What led to your choice in subjects?
I've wanted to go into medicine for a really long time. So for me, it was pretty obvious that I would take HL Bio and Chem. But I completely agree. I think being in the school with the amount of resources and help that I got from my teachers and my university counselor, it really made everything clear. So I knew what subjects I had to take. I knew what IB score I should aim for. I think it was really helpful. And I actually started my own after school club this year. It's called the Medical Society at BISP. It's for other students that are interested in pursuing a like a career in healthcare or any like STEM related course, public health and obviously medicine. It's been really interesting. The entire process of setting up my club, I found it was quite easy. The school was very open to students starting their own club and a lot of student run activities. So it wasn't a difficult process. I think I got a lot from it, and I'm really glad that I started the club.
Yeah, that's amazing. And moving to sort of the IB, how have you found the IB in terms of academic rigor and stress or anything like that?
I think obviously, as a lot of people know, the IB is very academically rigorous. But I think it's not as difficult if you can manage your time well. That's definitely one of the most important parts of doing well in the IB, because you're still taking 6 courses and then you have a lot of extra work on top of that. So you've got like your EE, your IAs and your TOKSAs and CAS. So it's a lot. But if you can do a little bit of everything every day, I think it makes it a lot easier in the long run. But if I'm correct, a lot of the BTech students are also partaking in opportunities like CAS, and they're still, learning different languages. So even though some students are doing different type of school curriculums, we're still quite integrated and we communicate with each other quite a lot. Do you have any
Yeah.
advice that you'd give people that are starting the IB?
Um, I definitely think reflecting back on my first year, and I tell this to any year 12, time management is of the utmost importance. The second
Great,
that you
yeah.
kind of let yourself fall behind a little bit, it can be quite difficult to catch up. And I feel like even in IGCSE, BTech, anything, I feel like this is always said. When you do a little bit every day, it is so much better, and it like is so much more feasible than doing everything right at the end. How
Yeah,
about you?
doing everything at the end is really challenging. I think something that I found really helpful was the fact that a lot of the teachers stay after school, so you can come meet them. So even if you're in lesson and you don't fully understand anything, or if you just need extra support, you can always contact your teachers. You can stay for a little bit after school, and they're more than happy to walk you through anything that you've missed out on or anything that you need additional help with.
I definitely agree. I think a lot of teachers, especially in subjects that I was at first struggling with, they were unbelievably helpful, and I feel like students should definitely make the most of that.
Another thing that I would really advise people that are starting the IB now is to stay on top of your EE. It's a 4,000 word essay that students taking the IB have to complete. And I think the earlier you start on it, the better, because rushing and doing everything in year 13 can be really, really stressful because you have so much other work and, university applications that you have to take care of. So if you get a head start off on that in year 12, it'll just make the process a lot easier.
No, I definitely agree. I feel like there's so much like content on social media nowadays where people are like finishing their EE in the last minute. I really would not recommend that whatsoever.
I agree. And also CAS, stay on top of your CAS. I think at school, for me particularly, it was quite easy because we have so many extracurricular opportunities. So you've got to do service, activity, and creativity. So you have to do some experiences in each, like in all of those sort of departments. I think at school we have so many different type of sports that are offered. I was really excited to try golf. I've never done it before, but I went to a lesson at school. I tried out tennis, so it didn't take that much of time. All you have to do is like register on. You can register with the school and you can just sign up for activities. It's really helpful. And even other than sports, I think there's so many like just activities in general you can do. There's music. You've got a lot of like art related activities. Yeah. What about you?
I definitely agree about sports. I mean, before I came to school, I never saw myself participating in like soccer seven C team. Never saw myself playing soccer, but it was really enjoyable, a really great experience. However, I'd like to bring up the fact we're both members of MUN, and I feel like as a CAS activity, that has really not only been like a passion, but it's really like opened the floor to find something that I'm really interested in. How do you feel?
I completely agree. So MUN is a new club that was started at school by the head student. And we've gotten to take some trips to Bangkok. We took one last year. We have another plan for this year. BISP was actually the first school to host Phuket MUN. We did that last year. And it was a really, really enjoyable process because you get to meet so many different people from different schools. It opens up opportunities to network with other people that are like minded, that are of a similar age to you. And debate is always really interesting, even if you're not like very confident or very comfortable with public speaking, just putting yourself out there and attending any MUN conferences can just be such an academically stimulating environment.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we have such a variety of different people in the MUN club. I mean, when I first joined, I was a very nervous public speaker, and now I'm very confident in public situations. So I definitely would recommend that for all. But moving on to talking about the IB once again, is there anything you want to say about university counselors and university process?
I think the university process is very different for everyone, especially because we're such a diverse group of students. Not just at like in BIS, there's just so many students from so many different parts of the world, and a lot of them have had a background studying at an international school. So, their nationality is different, where they grew up is different. So everyone has a very different sense of direction when it comes to university and post BISP planning. But having a university counselor at our school has really helped me navigate that process a lot. I was very confused at first on where I wanted to apply. But then I had a few meetings with my university counselor. She told me about the different pathways that I could take relating to medicine in different countries, gave me a lot of information about that. And then she met with my parents and we looked through a few universities, and I just think I feel so much more relaxed now because I had done all of this last year. So what about you, Paige? Do you have any like info about that?
Yeah, I definitely think making the most of the university counselors is a must. For me personally, I have found a lot of opportunities through my university counselor at the school. One of those being an internship, which I was really honored to be able to do in Bangkok at a school for neurodivergent children. And honestly, I've have a lot of students in our year who are able to complete these amazing internship opportunities that are only going to further their academic and career aspects of their life, to be honest.
I agree. I also really appreciate the fact that even though my parents don't live in Phuket, most of my teachers have been able to communicate with them. I think having parents involved with their children's activities at school is really helpful, especially for students that are in boarding or athletes that, if you're an athlete at BIS, a lot of your time during the day is taken up in training and attending different tournaments. So having the parents involved in that process is just really, really like it's really nice when your parents know what's going on in the school, and when you don't have to tell them yourself because the school is contacting them, letting them know, keeping them updated about everything that's going out through newsletters and emails. I think that's really helpful. Kind of related to that, we have Wellbeing Day quite often at our school. I believe it's once every term. How have your experiences been with Wellbeing Day?
My experience has been good. I think it's so important for school and a school environment to take in consideration the need for students to recover and also learning. I've learned so much through Wellbeing Days. It's granted me the ability to learn about nutrition and social well-being and spiritual health and all of that. And honestly, I'm really grateful for that. Speaking of well-being, um, I is there anything that you would like to say about those who are balancing academics and sports and those kind of situations?
I think a lot of it also comes back to time management. So important for athletes because you've got morning training, you've got training after school. Balancing that with school is really, really difficult. And I think for your emotional well being, I've met with the school counselor a couple times just when I'm feeling really stressed out. And it's really helpful to have someone that you're not friends with or someone that's not your parents, someone that you can just go to and vent about how you're feeling and kind of like relieve some of your stress, someone that can give you a fresh perspective on how to handle everything and how to manage everything. I think that's really important for your emotional well-being, and having that opportunity at school is really, really beneficial.
I definitely agree. I think the school counselors really create a comfortable and relatable environment where you really feel like you can go to them and talk to them free of judgment that you might expect with someone else or someone you're less comfortable with. It really again creates that family environment. Also, I would say for those who are balancing a lot of different things at once, it is definitely okay to take rest days. It's definitely okay to give yourself time to recover in the IB. And To mostly will not be too hard on yourself, not be too difficult on yourself.
I think the best opportunity for just having a rest day was the well-being days that we'd have. I remember once last year we had sound bowl therapy as one of our activities. I think that was such a peaceful and calming experience. I think that was right after I finished two or three tests. So I just got to be in a room for a while. Um, and they had these different instruments that they would use to produce these sounds at high frequencies, and it's supposed to relax you. And we could just lay down and just relax and rewind before we started school again. I think that was really, really helpful.
I definitely think the well-being days are probably one of the best ways to get closer with the other members of your year group. I remember a well-being day where we had a nap time sort of thing where everyone got to lie down and meditate and then we slept. I think that's probably one of the most healing things that I ever experienced in my life.
So we've been at this is our second year at the school. Do you have any favorite events that you can recall from last year?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Thai MUN, that's when Model United Nations took a trip to Bangkok for 3 days and we engaged in MUN debate. I definitely think that was a life-changing experience and it's definitely done so much for my confidence in speaking and so many other aspects of my life. What about you?
Completely agree. I think Thai MUN was a great time, but if I had to pick a personal favorite, it would definitely be Soccer Sevens. So Soccer Sevens is a football tournament that's hosted at BIS, and we get a lot of schools all across Asia and from many different countries. A lot of school teams will come, and they'll just have football tournaments. I believe our school won last year. Yeah, they've had like a winning streak. It's really really fun, and I think it just brings um, a lot of the students together because you get so overwhelmed with school spirit.
Yeah,
I think it's
definitely.
so fun, and we also have a lot of like different stalls. So there's like different food there. You can meet people from other schools.
Also, as mentioned, I played in the C team last year, and that's definitely not something that I saw myself doing before, but I'm so happy I did it. It was such an amazing experience. My team was so supportive of each other, and honestly, it definitely was one of the top days of the last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. So Paige, how do you think you interact with students from school that are not in IB? So do you speak to students? Have you had a way to communicate and sort of like form relationships with students that are not in the IB?
Um, I definitely think that I've done a lot of socializing with other students not in IB through after school curriculars, but I also think volunteer opportunities and just any general area we're in the same environment. I think naturally everyone here is really sociable and just like we all really enjoy talking to each other. So
I agree. I think making friends with people, even the ones that are not in your year group, is just really, really easy. Everyone gets along with each other quite well. And yeah, extracurricular activities. I've made quite a few friends from year 11 and got to know a lot of the younger students. And it's just really nice having a good relationship with students that are younger than you, even for them, because a lot of them can come to me for help when they need it. And I can sort of help them and guide them in any areas where they might be struggling. You know, if it's like balancing work or if they need any advice on how to study for an exam, all of that. Coming to your seniors is really good. And being able to have friendships like that is always really beneficial. So, Paige, do you have any specific method or do you have any way that you study for exams? How do you approach that?
for me, I know this is a really obvious method, but I think active recall and past papers just never fail. Constantly, I've been doing past papers for revision, and I find that that probably is the best method for me. What about you?
I agree. I think IB is quite different to GCSE. At GCSE, I feel like you can get by with a lot of memorization and like quick recall. You can rely on your memory for that. But I think IB is very different because you it requires you to really have critical thinking and have a different approach
An
to doing well in
application.
exams and oh yes, having an application. So learning the content is one thing, but learning how to apply it is an entirely different thing. I think at first it was quite difficult for me moving from my GCSE to IB because you sort of have to shift the way you learn. But I met with a lot of my teachers and they walked me through the process. They told me, and they like gave me advice on different methods that I could try out. I remember one specifically. This is advice I got for biology, that instead of writing down specific notes, my teacher told me it would be more helpful to just make one big mind map of everything that I could recall from class and then do flashcards and, go into it with past papers. I think that was just really, really helpful because doing a mind map, it's a study method that I wouldn't normally try. But I think once I did it, it just made all of the different things I needed to learn in the chapter sort of, it tied everything in together, and it just made it so much easier for me to understand what I was doing. So like communicating with your teachers is really important for advice on how to study, especially because every subject is really different. I feel like you need to have a different study method for different studies. Something that works in biology might not work in math or chemistry. What do you think about that?
I really will definitely try that mind map method. It definitely sounds like it
Yeah.
will work. But from what I've heard about IB biology, after 3 weeks, the mind map is going to be 8 pages long.
It is. That's definitely true. IB biology is very content heavy. What would you say is the most content heavy subject that you take?
Unexpectedly, I would say psychology HL is quite content heavy. It's definitely a mark scheme that I'm not used to, but again, it's one of my favorite subjects by far.
I really enjoyed taking psychology. A lot of schools don't offer it, so and it was something that I've always wanted to study. So having the opportunity to study psychology here was really interesting. I think um, just the way the syllabus is laid out and just the way your teachers explain it to you. And I think a lot of the courses taught at BIS are very interactive. So it's not just listening to a lecture. You usually get a lot of opportunities to really engage with the content. So I just feel like it makes the way that you learn so much more efficient and it makes it so much easier to understand complex things.
I definitely agree. Just to take a step away from the IB, we were both new students last year, both in boarding. Is there any advice or tips that you'd give to general new students, whether it's IB, BTech, or just someone in a new school environment?
I think one thing that I would say is to be confident when you first come and not to be shy. I remember the first night I came to boarding, I was quite hesitant to talk to people, but when I got to meet my house parents, and when they sort of introduced me to the other new students that were there, it made me feel a lot more comfortable. And I don't think at BIS you have to stress too much about being a new student because we have a lot of new students come in every year. So it makes it more comfortable for you if you have other students that are also new here because you can sort of speak to them, and everyone can do that together. How was your first week at BIS last year?
I definitely agree with the being confident advice and also not being scared to go up and talk to people. My first week at BISP was definitely better than I expected. As someone who, as I mentioned, transitioned from homeschooling to boarding school and a new school, it was so nerve-wracking, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to meet so many nice new people, and I was able to really engage in the school environment.
I completely agree. So, are you involved in any sports currently? Because sports is, I'd say it's a pretty big part of BIS.
Yeah, I really want to be. I'm actually thinking of going for the soccer 7C team again,
Yeah.
but as of the moment, no. What about you?
I think I really want to start tennis again this year. I attended a couple lessons last year, but I didn't really have time to go back to it again because I kind of got caught up in a lot of other extracurricular work and internships I was doing that were more related to medicine and healthcare. But I definitely want to get back into sports. I think it's just really, really important for your enrichment as a person. Um, Being involved in different sports, it can be really helpful, and I think physical well-being is also something that the school really emphasizes. It's something that I didn't personally emphasize before until I came here, got involved, and saw the changes in myself when I started being more involved in physical activities. I think it's also a really good stress reliever.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think before I came to school, I wasn't really into sports or things like that, but it's definitely become a way bigger part of my life. Fitness and health is a way bigger priority to me now than it was before. And do we have any more advice that we want to give?
I think that's it, but keep waiting. We'll have another episode coming out soon. Thank you so much for watching if you're here on YouTube, and thank you for listening if you're on
Apple,
Apple.
Spotify, or Amazon.
Thank you so much.